no one who is great at something was always great at it.
Mm-hmm. I
Hmm.
like that. God damn it. This is quite funny. I quite like this because we can clip this up and it very much goes into segments. But I think this is really good because if you look at a good example, I mean, okay, Michael Jordan, right, is a great example. I mean, everyone knows the
Hmm.
story now, particularly with The Last Dance coming out on Netflix. A lot more people are aware of it who wouldn't be aware of it before. Like this idea of being a like mastery. You've heard of the 10,000 hours rule, right? It takes time to become good. I don't care who you are, it takes practice. And every single person that started doing something started from nowhere. So like that's the thing, and people don't want to think about that. When they see someone's success, they always in their mind to make themselves feel better will say, "Oh, well, they had a lucky break," or I can't do this because of this and this and this. Like
Hmm.
PewDiePie's got 105 million subscribers. He started with zero, just like me and you started with zero. He went through stages of getting 20 views, like we are right now. That's how it, and it's the same with musical instruments. Like I don't know, like Slash, the guitar player, or whatever. Jimi Hendrix, like they had their first lesson when they couldn't strum a chord, but that's the practice it takes. And a big thing for people is a lot of people don't want to start doing things because when you start something, you're really
Hmm.
bad, and you have to almost. People are scared to be bad a little bit. Like they're scared of admitting that they're not very good at something. It can be an ego thing where it's like, oh, I don't need to do that. So oh, I don't need this. If like if you can't do something, you just get angry. It's like, oh, well, just hate this game. So you try to learn something on the guitar, and after an hour it fails. You're well, who needs to play the guitar anyway?
Hmm.
But that sort of ability for just like being able to think, well, forget how good I am and how good that looks to other people or any of that stuff to see, you know, if you find something, that's the thing. If you find something you enjoy, because it doesn't matter. Like for me on YouTube, the reason I do the podcast isn't because of the views. Like we could get 0 views for this video. We'd still do it. We still do another podcast because we enjoy it.
Hmm.
And that's the thing. A lot of people are scared to be bad, and because of that, they never try at all, and they never, because you have to learn something really well. You have to start with. You can't start with any. You want to be a clean slate, right? A complete clean slate, and then you can learn a lot better. Whereas if you have all these preconceived notions about what you need to do or what's right and what's wrong, and then or like preconceived notion of how good you think you should be already, despite not starting, it's just it's not the best really.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, go on.
I was thinking a similar kind of thought. What I was thinking was that I was thinking about the Jordan Peterson quote. It's like the prerequisite to being a master is being the fool. And so you need to be willing to be a fool in order to be a master. Like you can either maintain your pride and your dignity and your sense of respect, but then not learn anything in the process. Like in university, I can go into my lectures and say to my professor that, yes, I understand this complex variation of mathematics and I understand how the formula works and everything. But do I really understand it? Or am I just kidding myself and saying that I understand it just so I don't look like an idiot in front of everyone? I could do
Yeah,
that, or I could be honest and just raise my hand and ask the question. Because if I don't get it, then there's a high statistical likelihood that someone or a lot of people in the room with me don't actually get it either, and they're just in the same boat that I'm in, and they're just not willing to ask the question. So it's always necessary to be willing to put yourself out there and be willing to make those changes and those sacrifices in order to generate the results that you wish to generate. Also, another thing that I want to add is that not all people have the ability to be great in all domains, but we can definitely reach, or they don't start at a great level, but you can definitely, what am I saying here? All people don't actually start at a great level, but over time, if you work your way up, you can definitely get to a good level in most areas in life if you're average, like we are, I think.
yeah. I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there with the point. It's about people don't want to take criticism, and when you're doing something, if you're learning to become great at something,
Hmm.
you have to be self-critical, right? Like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, these sportsmen, they're watching themselves play, like they're watching them back play on the film all the time,
Hmm.
analyzing what they did right, what they did wrong, how they can improve. And that's the thing, people don't want to admit to themselves that because it kind of goes around to a larger self-improvement point, which is a lot of people never develop, they never become better, because to become better you have to admit you're not everything you could be, and you have to admit you're not good enough in a way, and that's scary to admit that. It's to admit your own insecurities, or to admit that you're not, you know, because a lot of people, it can be an ego thing. It's like, oh, you know, what's wrong with me, you know? It can, you don't want to, but then if you look at, you know, objectively at something you do, or something you know you are, you know, you can always see ways to improve. It's just you have to humble yourself before you can be better. That's the thing. You have to learn, you know, there's a phrase, you either win or you learn, you know. But like there's loads of examples, but like,
Yeah, I think it's always better to sacrifice your honor and your pride and your arrogance in order to become humbled by reality, and in order to improve yourself, because the results that you're going to attain by humbling yourself is far superior to the arrogance that you're obtained by remaining as a fool.
yeah, I mean, for an example, like I'm trying to learn Spanish at the moment, and one thing that's helped me in the past, like I've learned, become quite good at sport and learn musical instruments. I think the thing that's always helped me learn these things, because they're not easy to learn, is I've always had this ability of not being worried about how good I am at the moment or anything, right? Like I don't think about how good I am, and that's actually, think about it. It's don't compare yourself to other people. That's a Peterson thing, right? Jordan Peterson. It's don't compare yourself to who someone else. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Just don't think about, you know, when we're on YouTube, I'm not going to think, oh, well, KSI is getting millions of views and doing songs with Rick Ross. God, why do I even bother? Like, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking today, I got on my music reaction channel, by the way, subscribe. If like, you know, I got 200 views yesterday. Today it'd be nice to get 201. That's the thing. It's like, don't compare yourself to other, you know, if you play a musical instrument and then, you know, your teacher's amazing, of course he is. That's fine. But, you know, compare yourself to who you are. Don't worry about the people. But, I mean, that's a general life point, really, isn't it? People compare themselves to others.
That's a piece of advice in and of itself, right?
Yeah, that's not, you know, that applies in any context. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday.
That's a good point. It's a
really good point. Like, don't worry about, you know, you don't want your value to come from being the biggest or the best at anything, because there will always be someone better than you at something, or bigger than you, or funnier than you. Like, don't take the value in the fact that you're the best at something. Take the value in the fact that you can be better. It's like Peterson always says, like, intellectuals think they gain their pride from their intellect. It was like you know, the better to do is like get pride from the fact that there's so much more to learn. Yeah. You know, that, you know, I'm already, you know, think, you know, you're already doing well and there's still so much to learn. I mean, this is a very good advice though. I definitely rate this one.
The
first two have been great. We can bang another one.
There are loads of like this. They're like loads.
Yeah.
They're like this. There's like nuggets of gold just riddled throughout this section.
Yeah, I think the criticism one is definitely true, because people don't want to. That's the thing, like self-development, self-improvement, whatever you want to call it. The first step is admitting you're not perfect, but people don't like admitting, because it's like admitting there's something wrong with them is quite hard to do for some people. For whatever reason it is. It's like, you know, admitting a problem. It's hard, but the first stage in getting something better is admitting there is a problem, or admitting there is a fault, or admitting there is like an inadequacy at some point. And then from there you can go, you know. But it's like people don't admit that, so they will never ever get any better anyway.